Hello, everybody. Welcome into the NBA Front Office YouTube channel. Trevor Lane here. Make sure you do subscribe right here to our channel. Free agency starting to wind down a little bit, but we've got, well, a few players to talk about today. One in particular going to Keith's team, the Boston Celtics. So make sure you do subscribe, turn on those notifications to stay in the know. Keith, let me be the first to say, congratulations. Your Boston Celtics now have Dennis Schroder championship. Here you come.
Yeah, I'm super psyched. Did you hear that sound? That was the sound of what 76 million lost dollars sounds like. Yeah,
That's mean.
I, it is mean. I've said before that I was not the biggest fan of this idea, but at some point the talent outweighs the
Yep,
cost. And for 5.9 million, I don't care if you really don't like Dennis Schroeder, 5.9 million is fine.
absolutely.
Yeah, no matter what, by July 15th or December 15th, they can find a taker for him if it really is going bad. Someone will want to trade for him at that kind of number. But yeah, I was told by someone who would know that he was not promised a starting spot, wasn't promised any kind of role. It was just you can come here and be a part of the guard rotation, and we'll Ime Udoka will figure it out, and we'll go from there. And that's he bought in. Quite frankly, there was nothing else better out there for him, right? Yeah, it was take this money and have a role. I mean, I know they didn't promise him anything, but he'll at least play 20, 25 minutes a night off the bench at the very least. Could start too. We'll see. Even if Marcus Smart starts at the point, he hasn't been the healthiest guy in his career. So Schroeder's going to factor in heavily here. We know this. So yeah, it's, my concerns are I've said over and over again that most point guards now are shoot first point guards, but Schroeder is the shootiest first of point guards.
That's a good way to put it.
He's just not a playmaker, right? And that's fine. If he can juice the second unit with some scoring, that was a huge problem for the Celtics most of last season. In effect, replaces Evan Schroeder in kind of that scoring role off the bench, bumps everybody into other spots, and I think that's not the end of the world. And the last thing I'll say, on this part of it is at 5.9 million, my expectation is unless the Celtics are somehow looking like they're a finals contender, which I don't think they will be this season, they can move him at the trade deadline at that number to just about anybody. And we know someone will need point guard help. Someone will need bench scoring help at that point in the year. And that's an easy number to move. And people are already kind of coming at me and saying, you're already thinking about trading this guy. You must hate him. At some point, it's just math. They can't, they're trying to be a cap space team next summer. They're not going to give him a chunk of that cap space. They're trying to use it elsewhere. At best, they're going to manufacture just enough to make a run at, Bradley Beal or Zach LaVine or, free agent superstar X. Yeah. So, and that'll be, future topic shows coming down the line here for us. But yeah, so that's my guess is he'll get moved on and, so be it. But for now, incredible value in my opinion at 5.9 million for a guy who's been a starter or top 6-man candidate for the last, 4, 5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah. For the Celtics, I love this. Right, for the Celtics, there's no problem here. Right, as much as we're going to focus a lot on Dennis Schroeder, look how much money he lost. How stupid, right? Why would you not take that offer from the Lakers? And of course, from a Lakers fan perspective, right, you're going to have Lakers fans feeling a certain kind of way, like see, look, we told you so type thing. You should have taken that offer and not, kind of tried to play the Lakers the way you did because you wound up playing yourself, right? But from the Celtics side, this is a tremendous value. Look, you may not like Dennis Schroeder. You might not like the decision that he made, and you might even find it a little bit funny that this is what he's had to settle for. But from the Celtics, they got a steal out of this, right? Dennis Schroeder can play basketball. He's still good. Is he good enough to get the 125 million that he wanted? No. He's probably not good enough for the 4 years, 84 million the Lakers offered him. That probably would have been an overpay, and that's why I saw a lot of Lakers fans that were uncertain on that and didn't feel comfortable with it. But again, there's a price tag. He's not a type of player where you just say, oh, you wouldn't even want to give him a contract. Period. At under 6 million, you're more than fine. And Keith, we say it all the time. It's not the dollars, it's the years. It's a 1-year deal. This is no risk. There's no real risk
Yep.
here for the Celtics, so you might as well take on a talent like Dennis Schroder. You said he's not the playmaker that you want, and that's what the Lakers discovered as the season went on. They discovered that he's not the playmaker they needed in order to take the ball out of the
No.
hands of LeBron James a little bit. But given the price tag, you can't argue. He will give them a scoring punch off the bench. And last thing, I do want to mention that it's funny that now he's been put into a situation where he's not even guaranteed a starting role, because less than a year ago when he joined the Lakers, that was kind of a big deal. Like, he was adamant, I must start. This is important to me. Like, there's going to be problems if he's not in the starting lineup. And it's looking like he's setting himself up for this big payday. And now here he is. Not only does he not get the money he wants, but he's not even able to dictate the role that he wants, or even get the Celtics to be willing to trigger a hard cap it by using a little bit more money, by paying him more. The Celtics just said, nope, you've got zero leverage, and this is what you get, take it or leave it.
Yeah, and they could have too. So people have asked, could they have gotten to to the full taxpayer mid-level or non-taxpayer mid-level, about 9.5 million? And they could have. They could have waived Jabari Parker, or they could have salary dumped a player and freed up cap space that way and gotten to that number. And ultimately, the Celtics, as far as I understand it, and I have no reason to believe differently, said, no, it's the taxpayer mid-level. That's it. And it's the taxpayer mid-level for 1 year, which from Schroeder's side, you would never sign for more than 1 year at that low of money. That doesn't make sense for him at all. The best case scenario, I think, here is he fits in, gives them a bunch of scoring punch off the bench that they've lacked, and vastly outplays his contract. The young guys step up. Tatum and Brown are ready to really full on be the guys, which that part I'm honestly most confident in of anything with this team. I think Jason Tatum is going to have a monster season this year. I am 100% convinced he's going to use that Olympics bump, not making All NBA last year, missing out on a crap ton of money by missing All NBA too. This is going to be kind of like Tatum's revenge tour. And this guy's already really, really good.
It better be, otherwise your dog is going to be unfortunately named here. Like, there's a lot of, it's not just the money, it's not just the Celtics season. Like, this is now your dog's namesake, Keith. This is big time.
That's it. A week and a half till he's officially our dog. But yes, we're waiting to make sure Tatum doesn't get moved in a trade, just to make sure we can get the dog.
Oh, okay. That's smart. That's smart.
Really not what's happening. Yeah, no, he's not ready to come home yet. He's not ready to leave his mom yet. I get that. So I think Jaylen Brown's going to have a big year too. I think he's going to jump forward. So I'm convinced those two guys are going to be great. I am not as sold on the kids. Let's see, a couple of them will pop. I think Aaron Nesmith has a chance to really develop this year with a much more normal off season and training camp. He's not hurt. It's not the COVID mess of the league that these guys came into. I think he's going to take a leap. I think they've shed some guys who just, quite frankly, played a lot last year that were not good rotation players. So that's your best case scenario. All those things hit. Of course, they will not all hit. We know something will go wrong in there. But that's part of why you go and get a guy like Schroeder, is so when something does go wrong, you at least have that part to, all right, well, hopefully he can make up for missed scoring because somebody's out or something along those lines. So, worst case scenario, he comes in, he takes a whole bunch of shots away from Tatum and Brown, and guys are unhappy and the team's chirping again. But at that kind of money, it's going to be see you later, Dennis Schroeder. He just won't stick. They'll move on from him. They'll trade him if they can, and if they can't, they'll just straight cut him and say, well, it is what it is. We took a shot and it didn't work out. But my guess is you're going to get a Dennis Schroeder here who is on his best behavior. He's a little more motivated to show, hey guys, like, someone next summer invest in me. It's probably not going to be 20 plus million unless he really has a ridiculous year, but 15, 17 million a year. I don't think that's completely out of bounds. If he can show, hey, I can really do this. It just, this year things went sideways.
Well, I mean, he certainly had that motivation last season too, but, did not obviously work out the way that he wanted to. And part of that is the market, the way the market played out. He's certainly worth more than 5.9 million. Is he worth 20 million? No, you probably find something in the middle. And that's obviously the ideal situation for the Celtics. I guess the risk that you're taking is that he comes in with a me first attitude, like, hey, I've got to prove myself for my next contract, so I got to get my numbers first. But again, like you said, if that's the case, okay, see ya. right? You cut them and you move
Yeah.
on. 1 year deal, not a problem. So I think the Celtics did a great job mitigating their own risk here. And obviously this also means, just from the Lakers perspective, the Lakers will not get anything for him in a sign and trade, which is what, we've been basically coming to accept, is that was not a path that was looking very likely.
Yeah, it was never going to
Yeah.
be. Yeah. Yeah, it's just no one wanted to hard cap themselves that was worth going to get
No.
him on that kind of money. It was never going to be a path for the Lakers. And I think for Dennis Schroder too, I think we got a little lower on him than I think we maybe would have if he hadn't been in such a high profile spot last
Sure.
year, where I think the expectation was, hey, you come in and you're going to be the third, fourth guy with LeBron and AD that lifts this team to another finals. And of course, things did not go the way the Lakers planned at all, with the injuries, and just the team never meshed, I think, exactly the way they hoped it would either, with all the changes that they made last year. And that's kind of clear with making a bunch of changes this year. And as an aside, we'll talk about that more in depth, but I think a lot of changes this year, but I think they're ones that make a lot more sense than last year's changes. With the Lakers, but I think, as we look at this too, one other thing I want to touch is, people said, I thought you were really hot that the Celtics wouldn't go into the tax and all this stuff, and I just tweeted about this, that they're about 6.6 million over the tax. Here's the important thing: remember this with every single team, unless you're Warriors, Nets level of tax of more money than if Trevor wins the grand prize out in Vegas would ever see in a year.
I will still take it. Don't get me wrong. Let's speak that into existence, please.
Yes, and I hope you'll kick your boy here a little,
absolutely
on the side for putting it out there in the 100%. But if you're 10 million or less under the tax, you can get out of it by the trade deadline. You make a trade or two that reduces your bills and you're under. And that's all you have to do, is get out of it by the end of the season, really. So really it's the trade deadline, because that's your last opportunity to move off big money. So that's the thing I think people forget here, is 6.6 million. That's nothing. That's a couple contracts, that Boston could move. And let's face it, Oklahoma City's going to be sitting out there all year with Sam Presti saying, "Come to me, my children. Come.
Bring me your first."
Right? So exactly. Let's say, born draft picks, and we'll go. So yeah. But yeah. So that's it. You want to jump into some other point guard news?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about the guy who actually got a deal that he wanted, Lonzo Ball. Some little details here on his contract. Not quite as much. I still think it's a fine deal for him, but not quite as high of a contract as was initially reported.
Yeah, initial reports were 4 years, 85 million. He came in at about 4 years, 80 million for Ball. So that was, I think for him, that is, it's a little less, but still, 20 million average annual value a season. That's great. I think he is in a really good position there in Chicago. So a little less on that, but he did get a player option. I don't know how widely that was reported. So that last season as a player option, so it could be closer to 3 years and a little less than 60 million. So we'll see ultimately how that plays out. If he opts out when we get to that point. I mean, we know in the NBA that's both an extremely short amount of time and also might as well be a lifetime sometimes for 4 years. And a lot of that depends on how he plays on this new contract.
I mean, it could wind up being nothing, right? Having a player option for the last year could be nothing, but we know players like having them. It's almost a status symbol. Not only did I get the money, I also got a player option at the end.
Contract.
Right. So that gives him the opportunity where if he is playing extremely well, the cap keeps going up, there might be more money for him out there. So it's a smart thing to put in if you can get it. So yeah, Lonzo Ball still one of my favorite contracts of the offseason. And I can't wait to watch the Chicago Bulls. To me, they are one of my must-watch teams for next season. But that wasn't the only bit of business we saw going on around the NBA. The Sacramento Kings have decided that they're just going to play all centers because they picked up the option for Damian Jones as well. They've already brought in a few other centers, plus bringing back Rashawn Holmes. Like the Kings have decided we're going to run centers and guards and no wings. We're going to go with the no wings offense, except for you, Harrison Barnes.
And Maurice Harkless, who they inexplicably re-signed for $9 million a year. Maurice Harkless gets the same contract minus the player option that Bobby Portis got. Okay. It's going to be centers and point guards, right? Because they've got 3 point guards in Fox, Halliburton, and Mitchell. Which Mitchell, oh boy, did he look fun
Yep.
the other night at Summer League, especially defensively. That kid gets after it. Yeah, so Damian Jones now fully guaranteed at 1.9 million, almost 2 million, just shy for him. And then just to add on top of it, Chimezi Metu, his number jumped up to 881,000 guaranteed. So another center, maybe forward-ish. They've been playing him at the four a little bit in Summer League. So yeah, so we'll see. But yeah, Tristan Thompson's there now. Rashawn Holmes. They're going to sign Alex Len. I'd be rethinking that Alex Len one and say,
Yeah.
hey, we like you, but good luck somewhere else. Maybe where you might play more. But yeah, we'll see what comes down with that one.
That's
How about
surprising.
another guy getting paid? Luka
Ooh.
Doncic, official,
What an
207
overpay,
million.
right?
Oh yeah,
No.
horrible deal.
This is a great deal.
Fired the Mavs new front office. Yeah, 207 million for him over
Mm-hmm.
5 years. I have not seen, but my guess is there's a player option on the end of it. I'd
Mm-hmm.
be stunned if there was not. So that works out to 30 as of right now. That's an estimated contract because it'll kick in next season. We won't fully know for sure what those salaries will be until the salary cap settles. If everybody remembers, because it kind of got lost a little bit right as free agency started. The NBA revised their number up to 119 million for 22-23 from it was about 115. So good for these guys as the salary is matched to that. But same deal as Trae Young, essentially, is what this will be. Except here's the difference. Luka is locked into getting the so-called rookie super max because he's already made all NBA 2 years in a row.
Right.
Trae Young has to qualify for where Luka has already made it. So that's the difference between the two of them there. But yeah, 207 million bucks starting at 35.7. Pretty
Yeah.
good if you can get it, I guess.
Absolutely. Certainly something you're not going to turn down. And Luka, there have been a lot of rumors about, well, maybe he's not too thrilled with the way the roster's been built in Dallas. From his perspective, it's you get the money now, you find your location later if it turns out that things just don't work in Dallas and you
100%.
need to work out a trade.
Yeah.
And for the Mavs, this is a no-brainer. This is
And let's
like
hope
some of
he
the other
doesn't.
stars. Let's hope that
right.
it.
I
Oh
hope
yeah,
he
absolutely,
just stays. Yeah.
absolutely. Let's hope that they are able to fix that and get things set. Another player though that did get the player option that was a little bit of a surprise that maybe we didn't see coming. Patty Mills. Patty Mills gets a player option in the second year of that deal. That was a solid deal for the Nets at the taxpayer mid level. And now he's got a player option in the second year. So if he really lights it up, if we see Team Australia, Patty Mills, in the NBA this next season, he can opt out and then cash in on free agency.
Yeah, and if you're the Nets too, the difference between the Celtics giving Schroder a 2-year deal and a player option is Schroder doesn't really. There's no chance he wants to be there for $6.2 million, which is what Mills will get next year. So Mills wants that, right? Or wants at least the option to have that at his age with that team. And again, for that team, it's just you're just adding to the tax bill now. That's just going to continue to climb. Kevin Durant to zinc his extension. The rumor is that'll probably be the direction Kyrie Irving will go. It sounds like James Harden may not go that way because it would make more sense for him to actually opt out and then re-sign to get more money for him. So we'll see what direction he goes there, but they all locking in there long term in Brooklyn is the guess is those three guys will be there. And then of course if it doesn't work and one of them's going to go somewhere, I don't care how much they're making. Those are tradable guys at those numbers because they're all so good.
Teams would line up.
I want to do some quick summer league observations.
Let's do it. Let's start with one of my favorite guys. You mentioned, Trey Murphy.
Let's do it.
Been playing well. 3 and D player. One of the guys I liked a lot coming into this next season and coming out of the draft. And so far, he's shown pretty well.
Yeah, it came out firing 6 of 9 from 3 yesterday for the Pelicans. 26 points in that game as they blew out the Bulls. They second half turned it on and really hammered Chicago in that game. I thought Kira Lewis looked pretty good, actually running the offense, which is nice to see because he was a guy who we thought he'd probably score from that team, but I thought he looked pretty good. And Najee Marshall, man, that guy can play. He's good. They got a pretty nice steal there in New Orleans. On the Bulls side, Patrick Williams, this one was a little weird. I saw people saying, what's going on with him? Patrick Williams is an example of a guy who's using Summer League to experiment. They're asking him to be the primary playmaker, to shoot a lot more jumpers, to shoot a lot more shots off the dribble and those kind of things. So I'm not worried about that at all for him. And then, but a guy I want people to kind of keep note of, Marko Simonovic, for the Bulls. He was a guy who was drafted by Chicago a couple years back. It sounds like they are bringing him over this year.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be one of their later signings after they complete the DeRozan sign and trade and the Caruso deal, which we can confirm now too. Caruso will not be a sign and trade into the Tice trade exception. It's not big enough, so he's gonna get the mid level or probably most of it, leaving, I'm guessing, enough left over for Simonovic, to add additional years to his contract as he comes over there. Emmanuel, quickly put him in bubble wrap, get him out of there.
Yes, please.
He doesn't need to play anymore. Summer league, he's already been too good in the Knicks' first two games. He looked good yesterday and looked good today. Chris Duarte.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to see why everybody was tripping all over themselves to try to trade up, and easy to see why the Pacers said, "Nope, stick him right here. We're gonna take this kid." I really like him, man. He can do some stuff as a 6'6" wing who can handle the ball a little bit. And then the guy who I think was maybe most impressive of everybody, at least on day two, but if not of all so far, Jalen Suggs. I thought he looked awesome on both ends against the Warriors.
Magic, we got to
he
be
had
excited.
Yeah, I mean, people here they're pretty fired up after watching this kid. They're a little worried about Franz Wagner because he looked pretty crappy compared to how good Suggs looked. But I'm not going to worry about Wagner for, as a shooter, struggling a little bit. But I thought Suggs really competed well defensively. I thought guys tried to bully him a little bit, but he hung in there. He blocked 3 shots, which is pretty impressive to see. He grabbed 9 rebounds. He's really super smooth. So I thought that part was pretty good for him. And then did you see Giannis Timma?
No, I didn't.
For the Magic. So go. It's JANISTIMMA.
Okay.
Go Google him, or just put his name into Twitter. This dude is 29, covered in tattoos, and looks like he's gonna be the head bad guy is one of his henchmen in like the next like action movie, like Jason Statham movie or something. It was pretty funny. But yeah, Jalen Suggs played really well in that game. I thought Jonathan Kuminga continues to show some stuff. He's strong, man. He pushed guys out of his way a few times, which I thought was kind of impressive to see out of him. And then Moses Moody, it's got I like. Yeah, well, we'll see. I just don't know what the Warriors are gonna do with all these guys. They just another note. I just thought of it. Nico Mannion, one of their two-way guys last year, is gonna play in Italy. This year, he signed a deal to play in Italy. The Warriors will retain his restricted rights, and they'll hang on to those because those will have some value. But I think Nico Mannion looked at it and said, yeah, they added these guys at the draft. They've got these other guys. I'm not going to play very much. And I don't think he wanted to come back on another two-way. And off of playing pretty well for Team Italy in the Olympics, why not, go back home? And I don't know if he's really from there or not. I shouldn't have said that. But he's Italian, at least, because he plays for the national team. But, go play in Italy for a year, make pretty good money, probably put up pretty good line, and then you could come back home after that.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what he'll look to do. Suggs, obviously, him have a strong showing. Like Orlando fans are going to get excited about that. Raptors fans might feel some kind of way, right, knowing that was the guy that they passed on. I think the big
Scotty Barnes looked good.
Yeah, that's just it. But here's the thing: like Summer League, like performing well in Summer League, that's a good thing, but it's not definitive. Like, oh, okay, this guy has it, and clearly these guys don't have it, and that's it. No, it's a tiny sample size. It's a weird environment. You've got guys coming in and out. So just because you see someone play really well in Summer League, that doesn't mean they're going to be a big hit in the NBA. It doesn't mean they're not. Okay. And just like if you see a guy struggle, then that's not necessarily an indicator that they're going to struggle when they get to the NBA. Look, we remember Trae Young struggling during Summer League. So things aren't always as they appear in Summer League. Okay. So don't take this as something definitive that, yes, this guy is going to be a star or this guy's not going to be, but just kind of add it to the repertoire, add it to the list of things that we know about a player, just kind of start piecing things together using what we're seeing in Summer League, but don't weight it so heavily that we just assume that's what a player is.
Yeah, that said, the Summer Celtics are up 20 on the Nuggets, so book it. Finals trip coming. maybe summer league finals trip. Yeah, no, I'll just to close on that thought. I had a front office executive my first summer ever at summer league when I was talking with people who couldn't have been kinder to. I don't want to say who it is because it's he's still in the league, but he couldn't have been kinder to me. Actually, invited me to sit with him and watch some games, and stuff like that. So we watched parts of a couple different games, and then he said, "Well, here's one thing to remember about summer league. It doesn't tell you who can play, but it can sure tell you who can't play. Because if you look really bad in summer league, unless, like I said, you're Patrick Williams and you're being asked to do something that's completely not your role, and try something different, then if you look overmatched, especially as a new guy into the league, it's a problem.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so just something to kind of keep in mind, with that. So just, a parting thought there, I guess.
And it's a good one to remember when we are watching all these summer league games. Speaking of which, I think I got to go try to get over to Jalen Green versus Cade Cunningham. So
oh boy,
that's going to be a lot of fun.
Can't wait for that.
That's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So NBA front office fans, we appreciate you watching as usual. Look, we're still blown away by the numbers, blown away by all the positive comments we've been receiving. If you're not subscribed yet, please make sure you do subscribe, and don't forget to turn on those notifications as well. And of course, like this video. Till next time.
If I can say
Yes,
one thing too, sorry guys, just real quick at the end. I know the audio maybe isn't what we're trying to. We're figuring it out. Some of this is caused by we're not in our usual setup here. So
that's right.
Just be patient, hang with us. We'll figure it out. It will get better.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. Till next time. See ya and stay safe.